Hello. So welcome everyone. I'm assuming it's the cold, so we are off to a slow start. The rest will join us as we go on. So my name is Hope Helen Duta. I usually host the mentorship sessions for Cybersecurity. I'm also a cybersecurity professional. Currently doing risk and research for Cybersecurity. I do IT security and audit, and I'm also a proud alumni of the Cybersecurity program. I did cloud and network security. Yeah. So that's just a background or a bit about who I am. For the purpose of those who this is your first time, those who've just started class this week, karibu sana to Cybersecurity. We usually hold our mentorship sessions every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we have an industry mentor to interact with you and talk to you guys. Yeah. So maybe just before I introduce the mentor, I can have one person um who just joined the Cybersecurity program to like say hi and just tell us how their first week has been. One person. Current cohort. I see some alumni names, but I want one person from the current cohort.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Hussein. Good evening.
Yeah, so basically, I'm a person who's this is my first time being introduced to cybersecurity. I never took part of it, but he referred me to it just about yesterday, and yeah, I didn't know about it, but like this is the first time I'm joining this live call session, and I'm looking forward to learn and everything from it.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Hussein. Thank you.
Welcome.
So, in the interest of time, we'll just go with just that one person. Maybe next week you can have a feel of what mentorship is, and then by next week have come with an expectation that you can talk of what you expect from these sessions and such things. So I'll go ahead and introduce our topic and mentor for today. So we'll be talking about, yes, Jean, your hand is up.
I'm really sorry. I'm one of the old. Hi everyone. Sorry I haven't greeted you. My name is Jean. I'm an IT graduate, but I'd like to specialize in cybersecurity.
Mm.
We met in a previous forum by Cyber Shuja, but I never got around to the training. So I just came across your link this evening, and I'm really interested. So maybe I'm in the wrong forum because I can see you're doing an introduction for people who've already joined the training that's ongoing right now, or I can sit in and see how I can join the training as well.
Thank you, Jean. So you're not in the wrong place. The mentorship session is open not just to the cybersecurity students, but also to anyone who wants to venture into cybersecurity. So you're definitely in the right place. About wanting to join cybersecurity, we can discuss that after the meeting.
Thank you, Hope.
Welcome. Okay, so I'll go ahead and introduce the topic and our mentor. Our topic today, we'll be talking about starting a career in cybersecurity, which I feel is very relevant for the first session. Just a feel of where to start off. The field can be quite overwhelming when you're starting off. There's a lot that is going on, there's a lot of noise and chatter, and we'll be just demystifying where you can start off, how not to get overwhelmed, and actually be able to measure the progress you're making. So with us today is Bewes Mungai, who is a mentor we've had before, and he's a very proud partner of Cybersecurity, if I may say. He is a cybersecurity he's a cybersecurity professional with over 14 years experience in cybersecurity. He's currently a senior ICT security officer at KCAA. He has done a couple of certifications, including CISA, CEH, MCSE, and CCNA. So he's also a member of ISACA and Kenya Cybersecurity and Forensics Association, and also the Kenya National Cybersecurity Committee, that is the KESAT, the Kenya SAT. Okay. So I believe Bewes can tell us more about himself and also bring and explain this topic in the best way possible as a mentor. So karibu sana Bewes, and welcome to the forum.
Thank you very much, Hope, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you very much once again for giving me an opportunity to be able to come and share with you about cybersecurity. It's a field that I am very passionate about, and this is a program that I 100% endorse, and it is always my esteemed pleasure to be part of this team and to partner with you. And let me say that in cybersecurity, we learn from each other. I remember one time we went for a workshop, and in that workshop, everyone was a cybersecurity professional with over 5 years experience. Most people had even 10 years experience. And when the moderator asked, how many cybersecurity experts do we have? No one lifted up their hand. Because in cybersecurity, we've kind of come to understand that the more you know or the more you learn, the more you realize how much you do not know. So this is a world that is exciting because every day in my place of work, I learned something new. So it's not just the way I started cybersecurity over 14 years ago, that you'll find that it is the same tools and methodology. This is not like accounting, principles, no offense to those who've done accounts. This is a different field in which you have so many new and emerging technologies, and we're going to look at some of them. So without further ado, allow me to share my screen. And just put up my presentation. Are you able to see my screen? No. Not yet. Huh? Okay, just a minute, just a sec. Yeah, there we go. That's it now. Okay. I believe we're good to go. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So I think Hope had actually introduced me very elaborately. So probably I'm just going to, from my profile, just highlight maybe one or two things. One of them is my experience in cybersecurity cuts across so many spheres of cybersecurity because I have done security architecture, that is design of secure networks, including implementation. I have also done governance, basically development of policies, standards, and even procedures. I have done a lot of work on data privacy protection, enterprise risk management, threat intelligence, working with extended detection, remediation, entity detection remediation tools, security operations, frameworks, application security, and also I have conducted quite a number of trainings as well. So I'm also on the side as cybersecurity consultant, and I'm very passionate about youth mentorship. I always like to say that I'm married and I have two amazing children. And I'm also a music enthusiast, so I love music. I do play an instrument during my free time, and that keeps me going. So that's a summary of me. So when we're thinking about starting a career in cybersecurity, in the very first phase is the decision. How do you decide that you want to start? How do you make that decision? How did you decide that I want to start a career in cybersecurity? So there are certain elements that we're going to look at in terms of making a decision in cybersecurity. And the first one is why. Why do you want to go into cybersecurity? Well, some people want to go into cybersecurity because it is exciting. Some want to go into cybersecurity because it has demand or because it has money. There's a survey that was done in the US, and they were showing that, according to those statistics, that cybersecurity, cybersecurity expert, an SOC analyst would earn anything from $80,000 plus. So some people go into it for money. But you've really got to ask yourself, why do I want to actually get into cybersecurity? The why question becomes very important because it determines on whether you will continue with the journey of cybersecurity or you're going to give up on it halfway, because it's also not a very easy journey. Then as you're making that decision, the other thing you've got to look at is, what do I stand to gain? What benefit will I gain as a cybersecurity professional? What is in it for me? Is there any new knowledge? Is there new training? Am I going to grow? How is it going to benefit it? What is in it for me? And even I believe that the what question is a question that each one of you asked before joining this evening mentorship. You're asking, what is this really starting a career thing about? How am I going to benefit from it? Then you've also got to ask yourself, when. You see, once you make a decision, then you've got to execute that decision. So you've got to ask yourself, then, when do I start on this particular journey? Remember, cybersecurity as a career is not just a career. It's not a daily thing. It is a journey because, as I said earlier, each and every day you're learning something new. And of course, that journey has to be driven by passion. You've got to be passionate about it. Why? Because if you're not passionate about it, then you're going to drop out on the way. Probably you will say it is very hard, or maybe when you're not getting a job in an enterprise organization, you'll start getting frustrated. So you've really got to be passionate about cybersecurity. Once you make that decision, then the next thing is you've got to gather information. And this forum is one of those places where where you will gather information concerning cybersecurity. So you've got to ask yourself, what are the basics? What do I need to know about cybersecurity? For example, in cybersecurity, we say the basics of cybersecurity is the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And that is what we are out for. Those are our goals. We want to ensure that information is safe, is secure, that it is accurate and reliable information. And we also want to ensure that there is availability of service. So you've got to understand the cybersec basics, the terminology. Then the other thing is you've got to ask yourself, how do I apply then this information? How is it applied? In which particular industry or in which particular area? Who actually needs this cybersecurity service? And that also goes hand in hand with value, that you've got to demonstrate the value of cybersecurity. Remember, cybersecurity is not something tangible. It is not a product that you're going to generate, but there's a way in which you can be able to get the value. And obviously, value goes together with benefits. Now, once you gather that information, and I'll show you how that information is going to be gathered, you've got to do an analysis. And in that analysis, you then look at the information you've gathered and ask yourself, is this what I want to sign myself into? Is this a path that I want to take? And sometimes that even calls for consultation, because you might want to say, okay, this cybersecurity seems to have so many domains, but what am I really interested in? What am I passionate about? Before you actually, so you've got to analyze that information and see what works well for you, because that analysis then will lead you towards a specialization or interest. Remember, in cybersecurity, you cannot be a professional in everything. You will have a bias towards a particular area in cybersecurity. So that then directs you towards what is your area of interest. And as you select an area of interest, the thing you must ask yourself is, where can I make the greatest impact? There are so many people in Kenya today who are doing jobs which they have no impact at all. And I always say, a job in which you cannot be able to make an impact is not a job worth doing. Because if you're doing a job, then you must do a job in which you have an impact, that if you do not show up to work, people will actually call you and look for you and ask, where is Hussein, for example, because of the impact that you have in that organization. Now, once you've gathered information and you've made that decision, then the next thing is you need to take action. And you start from the simplest actions to the hardest. Cybersecurity sometimes I can equate to more or less like repairing a motor vehicle. When you're starting repair of a motor vehicle which has a problem, you do not start by removing the inside elements of the engine. You actually start with the obvious things, the outside things, checking tire pressure, for example, checking oil, checking the radiator, whether the vehicle has water. You start from the simplest and move on to the hardest. So there are a couple of things that you've got to do when you're taking action. Number one is association. Let me correct this notion that when you're starting cybersecurity, the first thing to do is training. It is not training. The first thing that you need to do is association. You need to ask yourself, which social network do I need to get myself into? Which association do I need to get myself into so that I can be able to get the right or the correct information? If you want to be a politician, you first of all hang out in the political forums. If you want to be a doctor, you go and hang out in a hospital. You're not going to go and hang out in a garage, and yet you want to be a doctor. So you start by association. You start by identifying the social networks, the cybersecurity social networks that are out there. And these cybersecurity social networks could be even as simple as a WhatsApp group. You know, if you find that there is a WhatsApp group of people who even just attending cyber awareness campaigns, that's a good place to start. And I've given examples. You know, you have LinkedIn, where you can start following certain people in LinkedIn who are cybersecurity professionals. You have ISACA, which is an association I highly recommend that all of you join. And there's also Cybershuja, which you're in today. So this is where you start off from, not from the training. You start from association by associating with the right and relevant people. People who are going to give you the right information, even concerning trainings. Then from associations, then you need to also now invest in learning. And learning has two parts. There's learning for information and there's learning for skill. So you have in your learning, I've given examples there. You learn through attending conferences, webinars, workshops. And there are several online platforms out there. There's Simply Learn, there's Meetup. Meetup is actually an online forum where they conduct free webinars on different topical issues, and it's actually free. There's obviously ISACA. ISACA has a lot of material. IBM also has a lot of learning material. Fortinet also has a lot of learning material. So you start off with the free. Coursera is a very good a learning platform where you can learn thousands and thousands of courses. Now, as you assimilate that information, then you start pivoting towards skilling. And skilling is all about how are you able then to action on that information and provide value. And there are a couple of online courses actually, and you also have some on YouTube, which are skill-based kind of courses. And skill-based kind of courses are courses which are practical, are hands-on, that allow you to be able to do certain tasks and execute certain things. For example, you could have courses that will help you probably install a firewall, configure network zones, you know. So all of these courses are available online. And one that I highly, highly recommend that you do, and it's totally free, is a Google Cybersecurity Professional. Very good course that gives you practical skills, even for basic coding. We also have other good courses in Coursera, Simply Learn, and HTB, which is basically Hack the Box. I'm sure some of you have heard about it. Now, as you're building your skill, you've got to look at how do you execute whatever you have learned. Now, that is actually, execution is a part of now putting into practice the knowledge and the skills that you have. And the way you do that definitely is, you know, by looking for internships, looking for jobs. And these jobs do not have to be permanent jobs. They could be contract jobs as well. So there are times when you'll find probably opportunities even for research, yeah, in a particular area or in a particular field. Nowadays, there's even remote jobs where you're able to carry out certain tasks for people. So you have to put whatever you have learned and the skills that you have into practice. And your social network will be a very good place to help you identify where you can be able to solicit these opportunities for internships, for jobs, and even for contracts. And then also joining mentorship programs, very important, because the mentorship programs will help you in being able to define your path and the path that will help you in your career growth. So joining a mentorship program is very, very important because it helps you and gives you guidance in terms of your growth journey and what you do. And nowadays, there are also projects that you can do. I know on YouTube, there are so many YouTube videos on projects. And the good thing is that some of these projects, you can actually do them in the cloud. You have cloud solutions where you can be able to execute certain projects, including even setting up a virtual Active Directory server and so many other things. And I know programs like Hack the Box also help you to do that. So you can start, and if you find any other project, cybersecurity project, whether identity and access management, whether an endpoint security solution project, whatever project you can get your into, you pivot to that. Now, there's something called the 4 cardinal cybersecurity questions, and this is something that I would like us to ponder on a bit as we're building our career. When you're joining any organization, enterprise, business, either as a cybersecurity professional, specialist, or as a cybersecurity officer at entry level, These are the 4 cardinal questions that the business enterprise organization will be asking. Number 1, what losses can we expect? So this is what I call the risk question. And the losses any organization, business, enterprise that you will go to will always have risk. And risk is in 3 main areas. There's something that we call loss of service or loss of business, meaning whatever that business does, whether it is a production business, whether it is a service-oriented business, loss of service becomes one of the things that of the losses that we expect. The other loss that we expect, obviously, is money, and that is the financial risk. Cyber attacks have the ability or the capability to actually make the organization lose money. And most of the times you'll find that service and finance are interrelated. They're actually cousins. And obviously there's loss of reputation. You see, every business relies on reputation. And once you lose your reputation, it becomes very, very hard to actually, because who are you going to be selling to once you lose your reputation? So any organization that you go to, that's the very first thing you need to identify. Any business, you've got to look at what are the risks. And that risk element is where you actually begin your journey in any new organization, business, enterprise that you will join by looking at where is the loss. Loss of service, loss of finance, loss of reputation. The next thing then the organization will ask you is, okay, you have shown us what our risks are, but what do you want us to do about it? And this is where the issue of protecting assets comes into place. Now, assets in cybersecurity, we have 3 main categories of assets. You have people as an asset, because if people are not trained on basic cybersecurity hygiene, they can be the risk to the business, by clicking on phishing emails, social engineering, and those other human factors that lead to cyber attacks. And then you have the other asset, which is data or information, because this data is actually processed and kept, and the business requires this information to be able then to make decisions or provide services. And then last but not least, you have the equipment that you use to be able to store, process, manage, transmit that information. So that is an area now which you actually ask yourself, so how do I protect these 3 major categories? And you do that by applying control. So there has to be a selection criteria. There has to be a risk assessment that is done to be able to identify the correct controls and apply them in place. The other element that you'll be looking at is, how do we investigate incidents? So let's say, for example, something bad has happened, an incident has happened, there's been a ransomware attack. How do you resolve or how do you respond to that incident? So then the issue of incident response becomes another element which is very, very key. You need to ask yourself, are we prepared? Number 1, do we have the human resource and capability? Do we have the tools to be able to deal with incidents? Do we have, for example, do we have a way of being able to recover from that incident? And do we have a way of restoring services back to the way they were working normally? So incident response is something very, very important as a cybersecurity professional that you need to know what to do. And then obviously the other element is resilience. How do we ensure continuity of services in the event of attacks? There are some cyber attacks that, like ransomware attacks, which you will find that they could end up disrupting an entire process. Or even you find maybe a ransomware attack that encrypts databases such that maybe when people are not, it becomes impossible to process probably the payroll. So then you've got to ask yourself, are we resilient? Do we have an alternative? Okay. So if you are going to, let's say, for example, you are going to school in the morning and you got into public transport, and probably the matatu or the train or whatever it is you're using got into an accident, are you resilient? Will you still get to school? You've got to have alternatives, okay? So this is something, these are the 4 cardinal cybersecurity questions, and you will find these questions everywhere in any interview that you will attend. So this is very, very important to note. Now, what are the opportunities that are there in cybersecurity? And as I said, cybersecurity is a very wide field. Now, you have opportunities around governance, policy, strategy, frameworks, and standards. This is commonly referred to as governance, risk, and compliance. So basically, this is all about being able to identify the right structure, the right people, the right skills, putting in place the right documentation in terms of policy, coming up with a strategy, being able to come up with what I call the plan. Then there's also security architecture, which basically is all about designing networks, okay? So how do you design your network to make sure that your network is actually secure? So that's also another area of concentration that you can get to. Then there's obviously security analyst, where you're basically looking at cyber incidences and analyzing them. Then you have system security engineer, which is all about being able to work on systems and making sure that the systems are actually secure, being able to deploy tools, being able to deploy software, being able to apply techniques that then secure the organizational information. You can also go into advocacy, and advocacy is all about being able to do cybersecurity awareness, user education. That's another area you can get to. You can also get into enterprise risk. So basically you become a risk assessment specialist, and that's a very, very good area. You can also be an identity and access management specialist. So basically you're looking at how do people log into systems, authenticate into systems, how do they access systems, and what tools do you actually use? You can also become an incident responder, meaning that basically you are looking at how to respond to incidences by drafting incident response plans, doing tabletop exercises, and making sure that there's a foolproof plan in the event of a cybersecurity incident. There's also the element of disaster recovery and business continuity, which is very much related to incident response. And this one has to do with the issue of being able to back up your data, to come up with strategies of ensuring that in the event of an incident, the business still continues. You can also do business development, which is all about being able to sell different solutions. So you probably study about different tools and software that is out there for different, being able to mitigate different types of risks. For example, you have data leakage prevention tools, you have endpoint security tools, you have perimeter protection tools. So you can also chart that you can be a business development professional where you're able then to sell the appropriate tools to whoever needs them. There's also the issue of security software development. There are so many security tools that are out there. Some of them are open source, some of them are paid. So you could actually move into the field of actually developing security software, probably endpoint protection tools, probably firewall tools. So security software development is also another area. Then there is cloud security. As you know, most organizations now are moving to the cloud, and so you can look at, you can decide to specialize on being able to mitigate against the cloud risks, obviously looking at how how users access the cloud, how users utilize applications in the cloud, and just making sure that the cloud is secure. And obviously we have emerging opportunities in artificial intelligence and blockchain. And as we know, artificial intelligence has to do with being able to mimic the way human beings think and act. And artificial intelligence, now we have AI-driven cyber detection and prevention tools. We also have AI-driven cyber attacks on the converse side. And obviously, blockchain is basically a secure ledger that helps you to, you create an immutable ledger. And this one is basically for secure document protection. So all those opportunities are there. So what we are saying is when you're starting your career, you need to gather information. You need to look at online resources. You need to consult professionals. You need to read online articles. You need to watch YouTube videos. The other thing that I've mentioned also is joining an association, and there are very many. I highly recommend ISACA. There's also Kenya Cybersecurity and Forensics Association. There's the Computer Society of Kenya. There are many. So you need to make sure that at least you join one. If you can join two, the better for you. Because these workshops then, I mean, these professional bodies then will always have workshops, they'll have conferences, they'll have seminars. And so once you're a member, you basically get all these benefits. And in these workshops, you're able to gain your knowledge, you're able to learn new things, you're able to build up on the knowledge and the skills that you have. Then it is also important to identify the skills required for the different cyber job categories. And those categories are the ones we actually highlighted in the previous slide. Then very, very important is you need to decide on your area of specialization. As I said, as you saw in the previous slide, you can't be an expert of everything. So you need to decide on your area of specialization. And in the upcoming slides, you will actually see how many areas of specialization there are. Then you need to obtain the minimum education and skills. For me, I recommend you start with free online courses like the Google Cybersecurity Professional Certificate. There are free courses on Cybrary, Allison, Udemy, EC Council, Coursera. All those are online platforms in which you can be able to obtain different cybersecurity courses, including artificial intelligence and blockchain. There are courses that are free. So you start with the ones that are free. And then as you decide on your area of specialization, then you can move on to the commercial versions. Then you also need to actively search for cybersecurity firms that provide internships and trainings to provide, to build your skills. And on top of that, you also have to look at online case scenarios. Basically, this is being able to look at a cybersecurity case, okay? So that you actually apply that particular knowledge. And there are quite a number of online case scenarios which you can have, which is basically a cyber incident or an event that has occurred, and you're basically trying to work towards resolving it. Then obviously you advance your knowledge by doing certifications, and the certifications that you do are in your area of specialization. Nowadays, there are so many certifications out there. So you have to get a bit of guidance to be able to know which certifications are actually relevant for you and which certifications are not relevant for you. And we have certifications for every career type. So, so in building your career, you can start off obviously with unpaid internships. You need also to look at being able to identify security gaps and problems and research on solutions. So basically here, what you're trying to say is that any place where you find a challenge, you know, any organization, any business, any premise, that becomes an opportunity for you, which you need to take advantage of and provide solutions. And this is something personally that I have done. There was one time when I found a business owner struggling with internet risks, and I was able to deploy for them a firewall and do network segmentation, and obviously you get paid for it. So you need to implement solutions and actually keep a record or documentation of any work that you have done, whether it's networking work, whatever it is. Make sure that you maintain documentation of your work. I have also talked about working on projects with professionals, apprenticeship. It doesn't matter even if it is a research project, volunteer and be an apprentice. And then obviously, you need to take up new challenges, complete tough assignments. And most important of all is, as you do that, it is always important that as a cybersecurity professional, you're able to demonstrate your value. And how do you demonstrate that value? You demonstrate your value by being able to show evidence of projects that you have done and the impact that that project did. So if you took part, for example, in a network segmentation project, you mentioned that you did a network segmentation project, you say where it was, the duration, your role in that particular project, and what was the impact of that network segmentation. People always leave out the element of impact, even in their CVs. And this is something, if you've not been doing, you need to do. Your CV needs to have a section on achievements. And in that achievement section, you've got to show impact. Okay, that is very, 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 very important, because you can be a cybersecurity professional, you can even be an ethical hacker, but what is the impact of the work that you're doing? So you have to demonstrate that. Then also active participation in professional groups. Like when you have workshops and webinars like this, actively participate, ask questions. When you go for workshops, don't just sit down. Sorry, don't just sit down and listen. Participate, ask questions, challenge the professionals, and that shows that that you're somebody who is eager and passionate about growing. The other thing is write and publish articles. I know sometimes when people hear about publishing articles or writing, they think that is traditional, but it is very, very important, because you see, any information or knowledge that you have, even based on your experience, when it is shared, it builds your profile. Okay? Like now, one of the things that I see is if you want to work in a university as a tutor, you must show evidence of articles which you've written or published. So that is very, very important. And you see, nowadays, that has been made easier through YouTube channels. So you can start your own YouTube channels. You can start a podcast or even a webinar in which you talk about your specific area of specialization. And you can have that discussed. Nowadays, opening a YouTube channel is free. And you can just be passing on information, and that helps in building your profile. Obviously, as you do that, you've also got to look at innovation. And innovation is all about coming up with new ways, new things, new processes, new ideas, okay? Probably new software, new tools, okay? That's something that you need to be working on. And this is innovation is very, very personal. Like now for me, one of the things that I did is that I came up with my own unique framework I came up with a framework for cybersecurity, securing air navigation systems. So that was an innovation, something that I came up with. So it's very, very important for you as you build your career to also come up with innovative frameworks, processes, tools, softwares, even equipment. Very, very important. Then you've also got to be a person who loves challenges and problem solving. So anywhere where you hear there's an incident, where there's a problem, run. If it is an issue of data leakage, run there. Be the solution provider, volunteer to be able to assist. And then align your experience. Basically, this alignment is all about relevance, okay? So you've got to demonstrate how your skill is relevant to a business, organization, or to a premise. This is something that we forget. Sometimes we focus so much on doing the job and we forget that we have to show the relevance of what we are doing to the business and the impact. And obviously, update your CV. And there's a link that I've given there, cybersec.org. It is a very good link that you can be able to go to, and it will help you in being able to simulate your career in cybersecurity. So some of the emerging trends in cybersecurity, we have AI cyber attacks. I think all of you have seen the deep fakes that have been going around in social media. Then obviously there's the issue of cybersecurity lab environment trainings like Hack the Box. Then there's the issue of polymorphic malware. Basically, this is malware that keeps on changing its shape and form so that it is not detectable by heuristics. So that's also another emerging trend that is coming up, and this is something that is very scary. Then we also have blockchain security. Blockchain for identity and access management. Then obviously there's a mass transition to cloud applications. The government has been talking about the eCitizen platform, which is basically a cloud service. So there's higher demand for cloud security because, the question I always ask myself is, who is securing that cloud platform? You have all of these government services, but who is securing that platform? So that's also another trend. Then obviously there's the issue of advanced hacking equipment. I've given some examples there, like the USB rubber ducky, the Wi-Fi Pineapple, Flipper Zero, among so many other tools which have come. So some of these tools are basically USBs, which look like flash disks, but actually some of those flash disks, quote unquote, are actually laden with malware. Some of them are even keyloggers. So there's a lot of new hacking equipment that is coming up. Then obviously there's the complexity and sophistication of scenario attacks. I know we have the MITRE attack framework, but now we are having cyber attacks that are very, very complex. Okay, so this is something that that we actually, it's a trend that you need to look at. So being able to understand the story then becomes very important. And then obviously, as we have all seen, nation state sponsored cyber attacks. We have actually seen the war in between Russia and Ukraine is basically started off from a cyber attack. And nation states are using, Israel, Hamas, you can actually see what they're doing with their drones. There's a lot of, cyber-related warfare that is actually going on. So this is going on, and we expect that even other nations that probably do not like the policy of the state of Kenya will actually come to attack us, okay? So those are some of the trends. Now, these are some of the cyber-sec domains that you can get to. As you can see, there are about 11 of them. I will not go through all of them, but each of those domains that you can actually see in that particular slide is an area of specialization that you can take. So you can take application security, run with it. You can take risk assessment, enterprise risk management, threat intelligence. Physical security is also an area you can decide to specialize in. You can also decide to specialize on, career training and all of that, advocacy. There's the issue of architecture. So all of these are areas which you can be able to specialize in and to document. Now, there is an upcoming webinar, which I would actually advocate for. This one is by ISACA. There's an upcoming webinar on the 19th of February on careers and job readiness for ISACA student groups. This would be good for you to attend because you can be able to get more information. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me. Over to you, Hope.
Thank you so much. I think that was very comprehensive with the time we had. So I'll move on to any questions. Yes, Jean, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Bewes, for the very insightful conversation you've led us through. My question is just about something you talked about on innovation. So many things in tech, especially being in a third world country, many of these things have been done by countries abroad or in other countries. So when you're talking about innovation as a point to make you stand out, like so that you may have something tangible, you can say that I've done this, I've done that. Because there's a time I think it was by Saka a while back when I was still a student. They challenged us to come up with an innovative presentation for one of their seminars in Mombasa, and the presentations we did had already been done. Like, we realized later on that as much as you're saying at that point in time when we were doing that presentation, they had already been done, and we were backdated with the information you're presenting. So how did you come to this decision that this is a framework that is cutthroat, and there's no one else who's done this specific framework, or the presentation I'm going to do is actually going to make me stand out? So that's also something I'd like to hear, especially from you. Thank you.
Can I take that question first, Hope, or we do too?
Yes, you can take that one first.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jean, for that question. And it's actually a very good question on innovation. How do you, because I think what I'm getting from you is that there's a likelihood that what you consider to be innovation is something that has been done previously. So there's something for me that guides me when it comes to innovation. And the very first thing about innovation is understanding the problem. Yeah. So what is the business problem? What are people struggling with? What is the issue? Okay. So if you understand what is the underlying problem, then you can be able to go on to the next step of being able to understand the process. Now, allow me to give, to slightly deviate and move on to something that is a bit political right now. Okay. So one of the problems, or a problem, that the current administration is facing is, how do you deal with deep fakes? Okay. So that's a problem. And obviously the government will be asking, okay, so this deep fakes, it is very hard to identify who actually did it. How do you actually deal with that problem? To be able to deal with that problem, you've got to understand the process behind that particular problem. How are they doing it? Whoever is doing it, how are they doing it? And then once you understand the process, then you can be able to think around a way of being able to come up with a solution that is innovative. Okay? So by looking at problem and process and analyzing that, you can be able to come up with a solution. Now, I'll give my personal example here at KCA. Now, one of the things that I realized is when I joined the organization is that we were very we had a problem when it came to our appraisals in terms of being able to preserve and show evidence for tasks that had been done. So what used to happen is you would find that there was a lot of, you do work and there was a lot of printing that you needed to do to show, for example, that, you raised a particular memo, you verified a particular job card. So there was a lot of paperwork that needed to be, and what used to happen is during our appraisals, the appraisals almost ended up being like the way petitions are done in court, where you find a petitioner is going to file for a case, carrying a document that is 500 pages, and you wonder whether the judges are going to read all of that. Okay, so I looked at that and I said, is there a way we can innovatively address that particular problem by just streamlining the process? So what I did is that I came up with a central repository, which is shared on private cloud, where all these officers within the department could actually upload their evidences for the work that they had done. So that when you're doing your appraisals, you do not have to go and start printing and collecting and collating, and collecting a lot of documents. You just basically go to a centralized portal, and that portal is able then to link you to every other work that you did. So the appraisals then became easier. They became more efficient. So in short, innovation is not necessarily coming up with a product per se or an output. Innovation could also be in terms of even re-engineering a process to solve a problem or to enhance value. For example, you can say that M-Pesa was an innovation, but people were still sending and receiving money, right? They were, But now this innovation comes as a way of being able to improve efficiency, obviously through time, and obviously cutting down on costs. So that's how I would like you to think of innovation in terms of problem, in terms of process, and in terms of coming up with an idea that might not necessarily be a tool or software, but it is a new way of doing things that then adds value to the organization. Thank you. Maybe we can move on to the next question, if Jean is okay.
Yeah. Jean, is that okay with you?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for that insight. It's better off, well off compared to where I was before you responded to that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Akmugi?
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, Mr. Mugai, for the walkthrough. And one, I want to apologize in case of any background noise. No, you talked about challenging ourselves to get to the world of cybersecurity by challenging ourselves by getting some of these unpaid internships, some of this voluntary work, and I like. Personally, where I stand, I'm a continuing student, and I'm in the phase of seeking an industrial attachment position. So I have some certifications in cybersecurity, thanks to Cybersecurity, and I still face some challenges in some of these organizations because they tend to have some, I don't want to use the word criticism, but let me use it. So yeah, like we don't allow actually students to interfere with the IT department, more so because of security issues and the like. Yet that is the area of specialization, and you are a bit skilled in that phase. So how do we navigate challenge, and according to your own experience as a student seeking for unpaid internships or industrial attachments, which are the best and the appropriate organizations to get into? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Archie, for that question. And it sounded to me like almost like a two-part question, because I think the first part was the challenge in being able to obtain even that opportunity. And the second, I think, part of that question, which I'm going to address, is on the issue of being restricted in terms of what you can do. I'll start with the second part of that question. Now, you've got to understand that every organization will have policies, and those policies will definitely have, will define what you as an intern can be able to do or not do. Those are organizational wide policies, and you will not be able to change that per se in terms of changing that particular policy. And in fact, you are expected, in fact, you must comply with the policies that have actually been laid down. However, one of the things that I'm excited about is even while undertaking internship, you will always, if you're keen, you will always be able to pick out where the problems are. And if you're able to pick out where the problems are, you can be able to innovatively come up with solutions to address those problems. Now, you might not implement those solutions, but you can make recommendations which, if implemented, and you can also demonstrate that and you can actually put it to test, and show that this recommendation that I'm making, it will be able to comprehensively address this problem, and this is the way, I can be able to do it. So whereas you are restricted by policy in terms of the things that you can be able to do, one of the things that will always work for you is your ability to solve problems. I will give my personal example. When I was a student, I really struggled to get an internship opportunity, and somebody helped me to get an internship opportunity at the Ministry of Health. Now, during those days, during my time, believe it or not, the Ministry of Health did not even have a local area network. They did not. And when I went for internship, that is the time when they had just contracted somebody to actually set up a local area network. So what I did, I talked to my supervisor, because at the ministry, I realized that 3 days down the line, there's nothing IT I had done. I was just going to the office and looking at people, reading the newspaper and going home. So I went to my supervisor and said, hey, look, I have realized that there's a contracted company that is doing the local area network. Can I join them? And my supervisor said, yes, sure. Why don't you join them? And so that is how I learned networking. Because that time I was very naive. I didn't even know what a network cable is, what a data port is, what a module is. I didn't know how to, crimp cables and all of that. But those guys, they taught me everything. Now, as I was helping them with the structured cabling, I started going around different offices. And what I would do is I would actually go to somebody's office and ask them, do you have any IT problem that I can help you with? And people had all sorts of problems. There are some who could not print. There are others who could not format documents. And it was a big problem to them, but obviously a small problem to me. So I started now taking advantage of those problems and sorting out issues. So by my third week of internship, I was totally busy. I would get to the office and work the whole day, and my phone would keep on ringing because people are calling because They're asking, we want that Mungai, the one who sorted out this printer issue for us. So people then started, appreciating. And then obviously as the local area network started coming up, then obviously there were the network issues. You find a printer is not communicating on the network and somebody calls you, could you please come and help me? This thing is not printing. My computer is slow. And that's how I learned. So basically what I'm trying to say is wherever there are problems, you can be able to run and basically take advantage of those problems and come up with solutions. Now, on the issue of being able to obtain the internships, that is why you have the professional groups and associations, because your network is your net worth. So you need to network a lot with people, and especially people within the field or outside, because sometimes you could be struggling with obtaining an internship, yet Mungai knows somebody who's looking for interns and can be able to point you in the right direction. So it is very important for you to create that social group, and so network with different people, because that then exposes you to more opportunities, and the more opportunities you're exposed to, the better it is for you. So you cast your net wide. I think I have responded to that question. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Hussein had his hand up.
Yes,
Hussein,
I
are
had
you
my
still?
hand.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good evening. Hello, Mungai.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you for it. So my question is,
yes,
we usually whenever we're on online and watching YouTubes, people usually talk about the cybersecurity market in abroad and not usually Kenyan or African focused content, yeah. And
yes.
we usually see the cybersecurity as from those countries which are the first world countries, which are for example, US and those countries. So my question is, how is the future of cybersecurity in Kenya? And what does the future of cybersecurity in Kenya look like? Are there government initiatives supporting cybersecurity careers? And how will AI and automation impact cybersecurity jobs in the future? And also what kind of domain or niche field in cybersecurity should one focus in, or how would you even know which specialization you want to get into? Because there's many specialization in cybersecurity, and that's one of the greatest decision you're gonna make in the career. So I wanted your opinion on that. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Hussein. One of the things I can tell you is that the future of cybersecurity is very bright. And the reason I'm saying it's very bright is because starting from the government, the adoption of cloud technology through the eCitizen platform presents a myriad of opportunities in cybersecurity. For example, as the government has been digitalizing services, including now your police abstract, that there are so many opportunities around there, because there are opportunities around actually working for the government agency that runs that platform. There's opportunity for now being able to provide security solutions, as a contractor. So you're talking about contracted services. There's the issue of, cloud security, and more businesses are automating their. Actually, nowadays you will not find any industry that is not automated, beginning from your restaurant. Every kind of service, every kind of business will always have some form of automation, some kind of digitalization process that is actually going on, including matatus now. People are paying with via M-Pesa, and obviously there is a risk around that any payment that is done digitally. So there's a lot of opportunity, because the rate of digitalization in this country, whichever sector you look at, whether transport sector, health sector, finance sector, banking sector, even agricultural sector, you'll always find some form of digitalization. And everywhere where there's digitalization, there must be cybersecurity, because there is need to protect that data, that information, that infrastructure, that equipment, and being able to provide service. So the future is actually very bright. Now, coming to the issue of why cybersec is so much focused in the Western countries or in the Western world, is because generally in Africa, we have not really taken up the element of standardization seriously. You know, we for a long time have just been adopting frameworks, adopting standards, adopting solutions, adopting tools. Okay. And I think it is a high time that especially the Gen Zs started even coding in Swahili. You know, it is a high time now that we started developing even our own coding methodologies. There's one forum that I went and I challenged the people in that forum and told them, why can't we develop our Microsoft Office equivalent platform, which even is bilingual, whereby you develop a platform, a Microsoft Word, quote unquote, version that has Kiswahili and even has a translator. It can translate to Somali, it can translate to Kikuyu, it can translate to Kimeru, you know. So we have not been so much at the forefront of developing our own standards, and we have for a long time depended on the West for solutions. Even coming up with our own cloud platform. For example, I was saying, like in the East African community and Kenya being the most digitally advanced, we could actually be hosting, be the cloud for all of these other countries, including DRC, you know, and the East African countries. There's so much opportunity for people who are going to take up these challenges and start developing their own custom solutions. And I can tell you, we have very good software developers in this country, if given a chance or if given an opportunity. So we need to start by coming up with our own standards, coming up with our own ways, and believing in ourselves that we can actually be able to do it. And once we have that mind shift and mind change, what will happen is we will just require the platform. It will be like an API. You will just require the platform and you can innovate. And actually, if you look at Kenya, we are at the forefront of API integrations. If you now look at the M-Pesa platform, no other country in the world has that. If you now look at the M-Pesa platform, you have all of these application programming interfaces that have now interfaced with the M-Pesa platform, including the Nairobi Expressway for payment, including hospitals for payment, and anywhere where there's a payment gateway, you as a cybersecurity professional, there's an opportunity there to secure that particular platform. So the sky is only the lower limit. And obviously with artificial intelligence, there's the opportunity to come up with innovative cyber defense tools, okay? For both being able to identify indicators of compromise and being able to mitigate even the polymorphic malware that we were actually talking about, okay? So once you understand, and that's why I put in the issue of processes, once you understand a process, you can be able to enhance and make it better, or come up with a solution of making it secure or making it more efficient. There's so much opportunity out there. Another area is on cyber advocacy and awareness. Nowadays, the rate of mobile fraud crime has gone up exponentially. Okay, people are being conned money left, right, and center. Nitumie kwa hii number. They are even on Alibaba. You'll find merchants who are actually fake. So cyber advocacy and awareness is also another area. It is an opportunity for you to create a cyber advocacy program, even for your rural area, Hussein, back at home, you can develop a platform, or you can develop a tool or a software, or just a way of being able to help people understand the cyber risks around using, mobile and web particular application and platform. So the opportunity is endless. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. I think Jean has her hand up. Jean, you can continue.
Jean, is that a question?
Yes.
Just a minute. So
Okay.
before we get that question from Jean, on the Q&A part of the platform, there is a small poll that I have posted. Kindly just click onto that and answer as we take this question. Thank you. So Jean, go ahead.
Thank you, Hope. So my question, it's not really a question, but maybe an echo of what Archie was saying. What are some of the profiles to look out for, especially when it comes to these cybersecurity opportunities? Maybe you've talked about being able to deep dive, not necessarily from the outside. Like, you see, there are so many restrictions when it comes to the level of access you can get to the exposure you need to be able to verify what you've learned in books, and also like through such programs. Like, what are some of the profiles to look out for in cybersecurity for these opportunities? Yes, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe on other portfolios, so that we may also be on the lookout. I have also just searched you on LinkedIn, so that maybe if you post some of these opportunities, we'll be able to have access as well. Thank you.
Okay, Jean, I think it was more of a comment rather than a question, because I think you've talked about LinkedIn and obviously other social media platforms in which you can be able to get opportunities. But probably if you can just refine your comment further, is it opportunities for career growth? Is it opportunity for innovation? Or what opportunities were you talking about specifically?
Personally, I've strayed a bit from tech. In the last 1 year, I've been doing project management for a construction company as a tech person, and that's entirely out of topic. But for me to reemerge in tech and my passion for cybersecurity, there are certain things like I'd also like to bring back in line. Now, that's one of them. So how do I re-enter? I know most definitely it has to be an internship, because I have done trainings, I have the papers for cybersecurity. But now the reason why I even went to project management in the first place was because I didn't get the chance to demonstrate what I had learned in cybersecurity. So that's where I'm coming from. And now, to get that right exposure, to be able to deep dive into cybersecurity and be able to say, now I want to choose risk, I want to choose advocacy, I want to choose this and this bit. So that's what I'm talking about. So I don't know how to go about that. So that's where I am right now.
Okay, Jean, I think I've understood. let me first start by saying that opportunity is everywhere around you, including what you're doing in project management for construction, because where you start from is by looking at what digital systems are they using, even where you are, starting even just from where you are, that construction company and the projects that you're doing. And you start looking at the data and information risks, okay? So because cybersec is applicable in whatever industry, in whatever field, it doesn't matter. So I have always said that you begin getting opportunity by looking at the problems and the risks. And that's where you simply start from. Where are the problems, what are the problems, and what are the risks? In as far as the digital systems are concerned, how do they receive data? How do they process that data? How do they transmit that data? The equipment that they use, for example, in that construction company that you work on, if somebody comes with a USB and infects one computer with malware and it propagates through the whole network, and you find the whole, and you find all the computers are encrypted. You see, that's an area of risk. That's what I'm saying. Opportunity is everywhere you are, including even the space that you're in. You look for that opportunity. But I think the key thing for me is opportunity is in every space where there's a problem or wherever there's a risk. So if you invest your time in searching for the problems and the risks, you will always find opportunity there. And it doesn't matter. It could even be in the field that you're in right now, doing project management. Identify the problems and the risks, and the opportunities will always come about. In this day and age, I rally all of you to stop thinking traditionally like the way we used to think, where you go to work and then you depend on being given work to do. In this digital age, it is all about solution development and problem solving. A wise man once said that if you want to make 1,000,000 shillings, then solve a 1,000,000 shilling problem. Okay, so this the kind of thinking that I would want you guys to come out of even this workshop with is not thinking traditionally, but thinking within the context of the environment that we are operating. And I've given an example of, like artificial intelligence and the kind of risks that are there concerning deep fakes and false information. So just that simple mind shift will be good enough. Thank you. I think Hussein has another question, or is it a comment? Go ahead.
Before Hussein comes in, let me just also add that. Do you think I would approach Equity Bank right now? I'd like to work with the financial. I'd like to do fintech. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think I'd approach Equity Bank over the same and tell them I have a solution to this and this problem you're facing? And they give you an opportunity, like as a fresh graduate and all that. Because they're saying if I have $1 million solution, I can approach the problem and give them that solution at a cost, yeah?
Why not?
They'll probably not take me serious.
Why not? You see, for me, that is why if you look at my presentation, the first thing I emphasized on was not even on trading. It was on networks association. Okay. If today I wanted to meet the president, I would look for somebody who knows Farouk Kibet. And that person who knows Farouk Kibet then would link me up with Farouk, and then I'll get to the president. So in short, what I'm trying to say is that as you expand your network, you will not miss somebody who knows somebody at Equity Bank. And ukiongea na mimi after this meeting, I will hook you up with somebody in Equity Bank. So it's all about networks. Jane, that's okay?
Yes, that's really okay. I am adding it to my network. Thank you so very much.
Karibu, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Jean and Mr. Bewes. So we'll take Hussein's question as the last one kindly, and then please let us fill our responses on the poll. The link is on the Q&A section of the platform. So once you click there, you'll find the link to Slido and the passcode for the poll. Go ahead, Hussein.
Yes, my kind of question is not that kind of question like whereby you need much of explanation, but yeah, I like I'm a person who's usually who looks at something from like a business perspective. My question is, like, are there any untapped cybersecurity market gaps in Kenya? Like, and what are the biggest cybersecurity problems in business that are faced in Kenya, and like, and such stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good question, because you're basically looking at the business side of cybersecurity. I think looking at it from the business angle, I think one of the untapped areas for opportunity in cybersecurity is AI, cybersecurity tools, technologies, and solutions. Another area where you can be able to tap is on blockchain implementation, because I haven't seen so much of or even organizations that are really doing blockchain oriented solutions, applications. Okay. So I think that's, to me, I think that is an area, AI and blockchain, that is an area which I would do more research in. And basically, even if it is an issue of being a reseller for already existing solutions within the market, I think that's an area, if I were you, I would actually look at. Then the other area is on the issue of compliance, because you see now we have the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act. We also have the Data Protection Act. Okay, so one of the areas is, how do you enforce compliance? Okay, so you can actually engage different companies and organizations as a consultant to help them in compliance with the current and existing regulations. So you'd first of all go and understand and study these particular acts and regulations, and then you can be a consultant for different organizations to help them with compliance, because compliance is a big thing. Like the Data Protection Commissioner has really been finding, guys, people are paying a lot of money because of data leakage. Okay, so to me, that is an area that which is an area which you can actually explore and be able to get very good solutions. And obviously now, with the proliferation of Wi-Fi, yeah, secure Wi-Fi networks has become a big issue, So that's also another area which you can be able to tap into, either on consultancy level or also at implementation level, because everyone wants, you go anywhere and the first thing is Wi-Fi password. And Wi-Fi has a lot of risks. Nowadays we have gadgets like the Wi-Fi Pineapple that are able to replicate any wireless network and create an exact deep fake of that wireless network. Okay, so the opportunities are limitless. You just need to think wide. I have just mentioned a few, but you can also research on more. I hope I've addressed your issue, Hussein, your question.
Yeah, you have certainly did. And what about the data privacy and data protection,
Yes.
risk management, those kind of also domains?
Sorry, I'm not getting your question. What about data protection?
I said like, is it also like a thing that we should like also keep eye on the data protection, data privacy, and like also risk management and such stuff, and also maybe cloud security. Are they also?
Absolutely. Like now you've talked about data protection. And you know, I was just thinking, if you went to a supermarket chain like Quickmart and told them, I have got a data protection solution for you that will help you to be 100% compliant to the Data Protection Act, that's a conversation that they would want to hear, you know, because I mean, if for example, customer data leaks, this guy is the data protection commissioner will come and levy a very heavy fine on them. So yes, there's you know, there's opportunity around data protection, both on the tools and helping them to be compliant, you know. So that's and not just the supermarket chain, but you can think of any form of business. Now, for a long time, the legal fraternity did not want to do anything automation. Okay, I don't know why lawyers are afraid of digitization, but now they have been forced to with the online filing of cases. Okay, now that is another area which you can approach these lawyers and law firms and tell them, hey, you know what? There's this Data Protection Act. Obviously, you guys are the lawyers, you know. I have a solution that can be able to help you to ensure compliance with the Data Protection Act. And even that solution is also compliant with the EU GDPR Act. So there are all these opportunities. If you think deeply about them, there's a lot which you can be able to do, even on the cyber awareness and advocacy area, or in the cyber advocacy space. That's also another area you can be able to look at. In short, anything that has been digitalized will require a cyber security service. And I think that will be my parting shot for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Hope.
Yeah, so that will be the last of our questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Bewes, for just covering everything, starting a career in this field, or even for those who've already started, how you can recenter and more of coordinate where you are, just awareness of what you have, what you don't have. And it's simply bringing value to the table. To summarize everything, provide value, be solution oriented. And as much as I don't want to say don't look for the money, because money is important, it's your bread and butter, but look at job opportunities or look at the cybersecurity field as a way to provide value and provide solution and bring solution-based innovations. So thank you so much, Mr. Bewes Mungai, for that. And so I put a poll on Slido just to get a feel of what you guys feel about the session. And let me just read a few comments. So the question was, what is the most important insight? Let me share this so that we can see. Okay, let me just read it. My laptop is almost going off. So, what is the most important insight you've gained from this session? So, this is just a bit of the feedback. Someone said opportunities for innovation are all around us, especially in cybersecurity. These opportunities are key in career growth. And then someone else said, I've learned about how to start and build a career out of cybersecurity. And then solution development and problem solving. This is what that person picked up. And lastly, we have cybersecurity career path guide. So Thank you so much, Mr. Bewes Mungai, for the session. As you can see, people picked up points, and I believe we all have something we've come out with. Whether you're a beginner, whether you're transitioning, whether you're in the field and you just need to recenter on where you want to go. So thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. And feel free, let me ask for permission first. Could people reach out to you, Mr. Bewes Mungai?
Yes, you can reach out to me. I believe Hope has my contacts, my email address. So you can reach out to me for any other questions you might have. I'll be more than glad to assist where I can. The most important thing that I'm going to emphasize on is I would like all 18 of you this year to make sure that you join a professional association, because the professional association will give you much, much more information, insights. I mean, you guys, you can imagine by joining ISACA, you have access to so many cybersecurity professionals across government and private sector. You know, just by joining, just by joining a professional association, these people will give you insights, they'll give you opportunities, they'll point you to jobs. I mean, it'll be one, it'll be a platform which you will highly gain from. So please highly consider joining ISACA or any other professional association, even Computer Society of Kenya. But I strongly advocate for ISACA. And thank you very much for also giving me the opportunity to speak once again in your forum. And if you invite me again, I will still come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything. I hope we action on what we've had today. It just doesn't become just another mentorship session. So I'll wish you all a good evening. There's also another question on Slido to help guide future topics. So feel free to just comment on what topics you think would be relevant for you in the future mentorship sessions. So thank you, everyone, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.